the 7. I was even so smart, like, I'm going to remember all of these films, guys. Don't worry about it. Oh my god, we totally forgot to keep going, but you shaved your head.
It used to be Walter White.
Like, I don't even look at the list. On like number 2, I was like, you guys ever seen Old Boy? It's basically, he's just sitting by the window with his leg up like that. I think it's the hardest twist of any film I think I've ever seen in my life. If you call it beforehand, you are a sick. Alright? Like... Should all be synced. Cool. Good. Take it away.
Hello. Today we're introducing post-film graduate of Bournemouth University, one of the heads of Sub Ali Productions and a specialist in writing, editing and directing, Josh Bulmer.
Thank you very much.
Now, you're releasing a short film, EMOT, in the very, very near future. And I have one question before you tell us all the tour dates of where it's going to be shown in different film festivals. How did you get the walls to look so futuristic in the guy's house?
Oh, what, in the apartment?
Yeah, they looked so good when I watched the movie.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, honestly, this is the first time I've seen you since you've watched it, because I sent you the link, the secret link, and it's going to kill me because he's going to see this. And he's like, you've been sending it to people? But yeah, he signed an NDA.
Yeah, I made sure not to like it.
You made sure not to like it, nothing like that. It's just, it was an unlisted like YouTube list. Like, right, just don't share it. Like, yeah, no, the walls. So that was actually my apartment in Bournemouth University, where I was studying at the time, and we basically spent about a couple months planning how much the materials was going to be, where we were even going to put the walls around the apartment, how many of the walls we actually needed, how many boards did we need. We actually built them ourselves. So there's going to be loads of photos probably coming out. I think some of them was even posted on Sabali, but it was myself, Daniel Coates, Stephen Allen, and Ryan Lyford. I think that's his surname, how you say it. But he was the production designer. Daniel Coates is a props designer, and he helped the production design, the making of. And we bought a fair chunk of the crowdfunding went towards that as well, like just kind of the set design. So we raised a load of money for that and put a lot of it into the set design, which was something I was really trying hard to focus on a bit more with, because going into my other work, say The Postman, which I'm sure we'll get to in a sec, that was very cheaply made, all out of my own pocket, whereas this one had a nice little bit of a... We had a crowdfunding campaign, and we had a person from America, California, invest a fair chunk of money into it to help us out, which was incredible. So we got to really focus on aspects that I criticised when watching The Postman back, because it was just a lower budget film, especially production design. A lot of The Postman was just kind of going, oh brilliant, that's Josh's living room, we can film in there. Or that's Josh's granddad's house. That could be Felix's house. Perfect. And then we would like maybe print out a photo, and that'd be the furthest extent to our production design would be a photo of my little sister in the background, which was probably already there because we were filming at my granddad's house. So this time around, one of my main draws to making a sci-fi set in the year 2070 was, there's no excuse. I need production design in this. I really need to emphasize how far in the future this is and make it look, futuristic. And we spent ages kind of going for what's the look we want to go for. And you're specifically talking about the apartment. The apartment's meant to be kind of like the middle class of that kind of setting of EMOT. And in the film, I won't go into too many details, but it's Jake, the main character of the first episode. He's looking after his two siblings. Something's obviously happened to the parents, which we don't know about, and so that house was left from his parents, I like to think. And so it's a pretty nice, it's a decent house for that world, but it's still a bit grey, still very kind of like kind of a bit Blade Runner-esque. And I like the blue kind of strips. I like to think that's like the whole house is like one big Alexa. Like maybe like you could say, play the music, and the blue strips would kind of like flash, almost like an Alexa's talking. But in another scene of the film, the patch scene, the EMOT Centre bit.
Yes.
We went for a much cleaner look, and we were going for more. We looked at the Death Star, for example, isn't a messy place if you think about it. It's actually quite snazzy. It's probably the cleanest thing in Star Wars because it's made by the Empire. That's where the money is. So everything's, of course, is going to look sleek and nice. Because when we first started designing it, we were like going, we were trying to make this like kind of maybe he's getting it from this dodgy cellar down at the store, you know, like it's like this like little marketplace. But like, no, hang on, it should look like a doctor's office. It should look like a place where you get prescribed drugs like that, and that's where we got inspired by the cleaner look, which worked both ways in the sense where it worked for the story, but also it was a lot cheaper. We didn't have to spend as much money on that aspect of production design. So yeah.
So, as you mentioned, Blade Runner is by Philip K. Dick, or Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep is the book that it's based on.
Yeah.
And The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch is another book by Philip K. Dick, which I talked to you about that you haven't read, but is similar to Emot.
Yes.
So how much did Blade Runner sort of influence it? Yeah.
Blade Runner, there wasn't the main inspiration for Emot. Honestly, the extent of Blade Runner's actual inspiration for Emot was two things. One, there's a VFX shot in it, a wide shot, and the cars are quite Blade Runner-esque, but I won't say that it's Stephen Allen who did the VFX for Emot. He kind of, went in his own direction, so I won't say it was directly from that, but that was definitely, I'd say, the starting point of kind of what I was describing. And then Steve kind of rolled with it in his own way. And the year. So I love the sequel of Blade Runner a lot. I love the original for the third act, mainly, but the Denis Villeneuve's film that came out in 2017 was set in the year 2070. And the reason I like that is I thought that was a good amount of time in the future for what I wanted stuff to be exaggerated by. So if in the film Emot, the idea is everything is like an exaggeration of what it is today. So the main drugs are meant to be an exaggeration of antidepressants. So meant to be, okay, if you're looking for this part of your life, if you think this part of yourself is missing, I want to be happy. I want to be, in the first episode, kindness. I want to be kinder. And we kind of went, well, with antidepressants, at the end of the day, people are trying to make themselves feel whole, like themselves again. They're trying to, stop the pain. And they're trying to find what they think they're lacking. So let's dumb it down and let's go, right, I'm looking for kindness. Oh, I can now buy kindness. It's an exaggeration. It gets to the point, it's a lot blunter. And that we had that for that kind of idea of an exaggeration and stuff for every aspect, even down to how they get to school. Obviously, lockdown back in 2020, Zoom calls all the time. I know you're no stranger. And that's why we had the little hollow kind of things on their heads. So it's like an exaggeration of a Zoom call.
Directing is your passion, right? And I was listening to an Elvis song this morning in the car before work, and I heard this quote, and I thought I'd just say it to you. But as long as a man has the strength to dream, he can redeem his soul and fly. How does it feel to sort of have this dream?
Sorry, that's my favourite Elvis song.
Is it?
That's my favourite, literally my favourite. Is it, if I could dream, if I could walk, if I could talk. That one.
So, what is it like to really aggressively pursue your dream of directing?
God, exhausting. But also, it makes me and when I'm not doing it, I feel irritated. I feel very uncomfortable. I feel very kind of like stagnated, and I hate it. During lockdown was when I had, worst than I felt in my life. Main reason was I wasn't filming, and I felt very like I want to be writing something. I want to be doing something, and it kind of was like a bit of a pause. And I just realized, I just knew that it's something I have to do, something I need to do. And what I loved was, after lockdown, I got to make my first proper film. But like my first film that I like to consider is The Postman, which helped me out a long way in getting to Bournemouth University, through film festival circuits, and also then eventually becoming one of the heads of Sub Alley. So, what's it like pursuing your passion? It's a constant reminder, and it's a constant it's like a constant itch you've got to scratch.
Okay, yeah, I like that, yeah. So, do you have any upcoming productions? Because we know you've done the Postman, we know you've done Emot. Do you have anything in the works where you're like, I want to make this, I know it's there, I want to put this out?
So there's some stuff that aren't ready to be announced,
Okay.
So, mainly because right now I've just graduated. EMOT finished. We literally sent it off to festivals, basically a week ago tomorrow. So basically 6 days ago we sent it off to festivals. I have script ideas. I've got stuff written down. What I do is I get my ideas so randomly, and it could be at 3 a.m, or it could just be in my drive on the way to work. And what I need to do, I've pulled over before and gone, I need to write this down. So I have a notes app, and just on my phone, I just write down like a sentence. It could be a character, it could be a title, it could be a plot, it could be an ending, anything. And I just do that, and then a week or a month when I get to like maybe typing some stuff, and like I like to practice writing a lot. I've started doing it again. I try and do it as much as I can, but I like googling creative imagination images, because back in primary school we used to just do creative writing. They'd put an image on the screen and it would be like a picture of, I don't know, a feather, and then I'd be writing a story about an eagle, like, and it would just like, but it jogs your memory to go, oh, just write, even if it's like a page. It's practice. So I've been doing that a lot, and then when I do that, I refer back to my notes app and go, could that be a plot? No, that was awful. What do you think? That's shit, Josh. Throw that away. Burn it. And then, but then some stuff it sticks. Or like I'll explain it to someone either at Sub Alley or again Steve, who I love to kind of bounce off ideas, and it's a lot of the time stuff sticks, and there's a lot of stuff that we can be like, if I thought it was bad, but it could trigger something, say, in Steve's mind or Elliot's mind or something like that, and then they can build off that as well, vice versa. So that's the hope with a lot of stuff like that. So in terms of projects to look forward to, what I will say is stuff that I have been working on for a while, and it's kind of out there, but we've not really talked about it too much. So not that I've directed, but what I've been working on is Roast Pork for my company. That's Sub Alley's first feature film. Okay. So I'm second unit director and primarily AD. So if you don't know what a second unit director is,
let us know. Let the audience know as well.
The second unit director is basically, they do all the pickup scenes. They do all the pickup shots. Basically, they direct the bits where maybe the main director or maybe the main actor isn't available that day because they're filming another scene, or they can't get the main cast. So what do you do in that scenario? Do you waste the day? No. You get the second unit director, the second unit team, and they go in and they film. Like, say there's a shot of, we need these characters just walking across a field. I'd then be in charge of that day, like I was the director, but directing the smaller segments that kind of piece the movie together. So the scene I did for Roast Pork is this scene where we summon 3 out of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, because I'm pretty sure one's on holiday or something.
Okay.
And that's the kind of movie this is. And we have this amazing kind of cool drone shot swooping through this field that kind of reminded me of Gladiator because of how long the grass was. And we had smoke grenades and stuff, and they all came out with their weapons one by one, and with this really cool sweeping shot in. And so I did that was the main scene I did as second unit director for that film. But it's a really quirky film. It's written and directed by Elliot Wood and Daniel Haywood. I think Daniel Haywood, I'm not sure if they both got writing credit, but they're both co-directors. And then there's me doing the second unit AD, and Alfie Nugent doing the stunt work and playing, like, I swear to God, he has like 17 roles in this movie. Like, he plays so many different characters. Some he has a mask on, some he's just a corpse, some he's it's crazy. I think it's quite a few. So I think there should be a drinking game. Just every time you see Alfie in this movie playing a different character, just take a drink. Like, but it's a feature film. We've been working on it for a while now, and it's kind of set in this kind of fantasy world. The main character is literally Santa Claus, and his kind of whole deal is no one kind of believes in him anymore. So, and he's kind of said on his off time when it's not really the holiday season, he kind of has gone, fuck it, I'm going to be a bounty hunter. And so he then meets a girl, and the plot kind of triggers from there. And I won't say any more.
You got to give us a little bit more.
A little bit more.
You got to get us hyped for Roast Pork.
Oh, dude, are you not hyped already from that synopsis?
I am, but...
Okay, well, let's say that it kind of turns into this weird road trip where we, say, meet a few different fantasy characters, like the Tooth Fairy or the Easter Bunny, which we just filmed recently, actually. That was the recent thing we filmed was at Ivanhoe Beacon, and we had this big fight with the Easter Bunny and Nikolai, Santa Claus, who's played by Nicholas Benjamin, by the way. He's been playing the role for ages. Honestly, we've been in production for about 3 years, which I know sounds horrible. It's long, but it's because it's all out of we started so long ago. It's all out of Elliot's kind of pocket, and so he's been working on it whenever we can get everyone together, whenever we can afford to probably do it, and it's just been weekends at a time. So most feature films, they'd be filming for about 4 months, maybe, maybe even longer. We filmed for 3 years, but in terms of days, we probably filmed for about 50 days. So about a month to about 2 months probably worth of days we've actually filmed for. So just to kind of put it in perspective, because I feel like when people hear 3 years of production, what? But it's a feature film over a few weekends, over loads of weekends, whenever we can, and it's our love child. It's our absolute love child of the company, and it's been the spine of what's enabled me to get as many, I say connections, but like as many departments to collab with and help make the movies I want to make as well, and is what's really brought our team as close as we are.
Okay, cool.
So that's what I'll say, more so behind the scenes wise than plot.
So roast pork is not in production hell.
It's not in no, it's going good, and we're right at the end of it now. So really excited to finish that. The other film that's just come out is Tractor Run, which again was a short 40-minute film, directed by Elliot Wood again and written by him. That's already out, so I won't say too much about that. So you can go and watch it now on the official Stuff Out of YouTube channel. But we've got a horror film coming out called Don't Hang Up, directed by these two twins, which I know it's creepy, right? Two little twins directing. It's like The Shining.
But they're behind the camera.
Exactly. Imagine if those two twins from The Shining were directing The Shining. That's all I need to say for the movie. That's the pitch. And then our next feature film going into production next year is Worm Food.
Okay.
Which is a whole other movie. So we've got a few. We've got a lot to look forward to.
Okay, you're talking about sub-directing, but you personally, have you got like an idea that's in the back of your head where like, when I get further on in film directing, I'm going to make this film?
Yes.
What is it?
No. I'm going to hold that. I'm going to hold my tongue. But I've got genres I want to explore.
Okay.
And you say there's not, that's the thing, it's not just one. I've got a library of different genres I want to make and explore. From my favourite genre is gangster movies. I've always wanted to make a gangster movie, and I've never attempted it yet because I haven't got it perfect. I want to do it right. I want to do it so right, and I've played around with ideas. I've scrapped it. When I first started writing The Postman, I was on the phone to Sam, and we were on the phone call together going, I was like, I want to make a gangster movie. I approached The Postman first as going, let's make a gangster movie, and was gangster kind of goes rogue maybe, and he goes, and and then that's when he gets the peace symbol kind of thing. It was going to be a gangster movie to start off with, and then the more I wrote it, I went, scrap the gangster stuff. It's not working together. Make it way more personal, and it's way too big a budget. So a gangster movie would definitely be in the books. I don't want to announce this properly, but we're dabbling with a kind of more of a fun, quirky horror-esque movie, which may or may not be like a zombie movie, which I'll be hopefully maybe directing, but not writing, but I'd be helping you in the writing room. So that's kind of the next one I'm really heavily involved with, potentially, in the future. Okay. So we'll see. So
your love for gangster films, does that encompass sort of all gangster films, like from Goodfellas to Sexy Beast? Like
Sexy Beast? I haven't heard of Sexy Beast.
It's got Ben Kingsley in it.
Does it?
Yeah, it's really, really good. It's British, like a British gangster film.
Yeah. I love British gangster films. I like Guy Ritchie with Lock, Stock, Snatch, The Gentleman. My favourite film, as you just mentioned, is Goodfellas. I got it out. I saw it on his shelf. We got a few DVDs out. I just thought it would look nice. But Goodfellas is my I always tell people it's my favourite film of all time. That's always up to change, by the way. I'm always happy to change that, but I haven't found a movie to change my mind yet. So it's Martin Scorsese's masterpiece. Robert De Niro, he's so good in that movie, man. Just that shot of him smoking that cigarette and the glee in his eyes that he knows he's about to do a hit on someone. Like, he just knows that as soon as he's like, that guy owes me money, I'm gonna kill him. And he's like, he's so he doesn't need to say it. No one needs to explain it. But there's just one shot of him going down the bar as Cream plays Sunshine of Your Love, and he's smoking that cigarette, and he's just so excited to kill him. Oh, I love that. And I didn't even mention Joe Pesci.
He is good.
He's incredible.
So, well, we know where you fall on the Goodfellas versus Godfather debate then.
Well, you know what? I saw Godfather first. My granddad loves The Godfather, and I watched it a bit too young, probably 14. That's all right age to watch Godfather. But I didn't get it to the point I should have. I was 14. I was like, I enjoyed it, but I really didn't follow it as well as I could have. And I always kind of feel like, you know, I'd seen I think I'd seen Wolf of Wall Street at that point. I was ready for that adrenaline. When I first saw Wolf of Wall Street, that gave me that adrenaline rush, which Godfather didn't the first time I saw it. Not until kind of the middle, but the only bit that really I remember the first time seeing, which I loved in Godfather. And by the way, I adore Godfather now. I've saw it in the cinema and it's incredible. But the scene in the hospital when they have to move Marlon Brando to a different hospital room, and there's that bit where they have to stand outside and just look intimidating and just look, that I love that. That whole sequence is incredible. But Godfather Part 2 is a masterpiece. It makes Godfather Part 1 even better. Like I gave Godfather like a 9 out of 10 the first time I saw it. Then saw Godfather Part 2, near perfect film, maybe 10 out of 10 honestly. But it because of the flashbacks of Robert De Niro, it then makes you want to rewatch the first one with a whole new light, which makes that first one a perfect film. And you've got this. I've never seen the third one, by the way, because I've heard it. It's not as strong as the other two, but I will watch it one day. And the new cut of it, The Death of Michael Corleone. But I like the fact that it's got this weird duology where you can watch the first one and go, oh, let's put on the second one, let's do a double feature. Then you put the second one on and go, because of the flashbacks for half the movie, you're like, oh, I'm going to watch the first one again. You watch the first one and go, oh, that's brilliant, let's watch the second one. And then I think that's one of the reasons I think The Godfather is as popular and as rewatchable as it is, because of that loop. And it just keeps going.
I've been playing with this idea in my head. It's been sort of rolling around in my head. It's this word which is from this art project called the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows.
Okay.
And it's called Sonder. And the definition of it is the profound feeling of realizing that everyone, including strangers, has a life as complex as your own. And I feel like this idea of
What's
Sonder.
the word again?
Sonder.
Sonder.
Yeah, Sonder is kind of how you experience films. Like, you experience a film where you realise that someone's life is just as complex as your own.
Perspective, yeah.
Yeah, and I find this with the film Taxi Driver.
Yes.
Like, you find that all the people, their lives are like their own miniature hurricanes.
Yeah. And it's also like the, say, you know, you start talking to someone, it sounds like they're being a dick. They're not really being a dick. You've just seen Taxi Driver. During Taxi Driver, he thinks he's the hero. The whole time he's like, this girl got into my car, she needs my help, and she's waiting for me on the other side. And like, she's not waiting for shit. She's just like, it's just a taxi driver. It's no one to her, you know. And he has this whole hero complex in his head. He's just a guy with a gun at the end of the day, though, and he's just a crazy man. But he lives in his own reality, and he perceives like we all do. We're all perceiving. I think right now I'm having a lovely interview with you, talking on your podcast. For all I know, I could actually just be in an insane asylum talking about, I liked Oldboy and Goodfellas and directing, and Emot's going to be a master, and they have no idea what I'm talking about. I could be a crazy person, but right now, in this moment, I think so I know. And that's what you got to always live your life by. It's just how you perceive it, that's how it is.
So with a little spoiler-free introduction, can we know your top 7 movies?
That's quite a segue. And Taxi Driver isn't on there, but boy, is it a contender.
That's number 8.
Taxi Driver is what actually was the main inspiration for The Postman. The reason I said the title of The Postman is just his job is because of Taxi Driver.
Oh, okay.
Trivia knowledge. No, so we've already spoken about Goodfellas. I won't go on that for too much because otherwise we'll be here all day. That's a whole other podcast in itself. We could do it. But Goodfellas is number 1. And then everything else after that is up to debate in my head. I wrote them down. They're over there. I'm going to try and say them without actually looking. But Rear Window is incredible. It's just it's from 1954, and it's Alfred Hitchcock, of course, and he's just the concept and the idea of just kind of watching a story through windows. You know, just like this guy's broken his. Have you seen Rear Window? It's about a guy who's broken his leg and he's going to be homebound for quite a while, And it's back in the 50s, so this was okay. But he's basically just watching his neighbour's life go by with his binoculars. Nowadays, it'd just be creepy. There, it's sweet and lovely, you know. There's a girl doing yoga. Okay, maybe it's a bit creepy still for the 1950s, but it's, you know, it's basically he's just sitting by the window with his leg up like that, broken, and just watching his neighbours. And it's really charming at first, you know. Everyone's got like their own gimmicks. Someone's like really fancy up there. One neighbour's really loud, and there's, you know, got the yoga girl, mainly the yoga girl, and they're all doing their thing. And then suddenly he sees someone go into a room to draw the curtains. Here's some arguing. Only one person comes out. What happened to that person? Has he witnessed a murder? He needs proof. How can he get proof? He's got one leg and he's just been spying. And so you see how he kind of unsolves and unpackages and goes full on detective mode. He's got nothing to do at solving this mystery until, I won't say anything else, but let's say, he can see them, so eventually they're going to maybe notice him.
Okay.
And that's a moment. And that's one of my favourite films. Maybe even number 2. Old Boy. Old Boy is done by Park Chan-wook. Yes. And it is a masterpiece. I saw it for the first time my first year of uni. So about 3 to 4 years ago now. 3 years ago. And we basically just... It was like one of the first films I think I watched with like my kind of uni film group of friends. So we're all just kind of like pretentious as shit, drinking our wine, you know. We just had a few beers. But still, you're going... What a bit of cinema should we watch today? And on this lovely, crappy student TV, someone just really boldly went, "You guys ever seen Old Boy? It's pretty good." And so we went, hell yeah. After a vote between that or Boogie Nights, which I've still not seen to this day. It's PTA, Paul Thomas Anderson, so I need to watch that as well. But Boogie Nights is apparently a very different vibe to Old Boy. Old Boy is it's a movie with a twist at the end, and that twist comes and it hits. I think it's the hardest twist of any film I think I've ever seen in my life. If you call it beforehand, you are a sick fuck. Alright? Because I wasn't ready. I called it maybe 1 minute beforehand, but yeah, it is something. But the action's incredible.
Yes, yeah.
The kind of premise, I won't go as much into Rear Window because we're on a time limit, but Old Boy, this guy one day gets put into this room. He has no idea why he's been put into this room, and he spends 15 or 17 years or so. No, it's something like 15, 17 years in this room, and he has no idea why he's put in this room. And then exactly 17 years later. Did I say days before? Yeah, it's 15, 17 years.
Okay, yeah.
Literally on the day to the day, he then gets let out. And he has no idea why he's been put in this room. He's been a prisoner in that room for years. He's never seen anyone. He's never, he just gets given food. He's not spoken to another soul for that long. He's gone crazy. His hair's gone. His teeth are all manky. It's really disturbing already. Great premise. And he gets let out. And now he's on a vengeance to find out why he was put in that room, who did it, and he's going to take his revenge. And that's the plot. And it's got some of the best action I've ever seen in my life. That's what I picture that. Requiem for a Dream. Good segue. Top 2 most disturbing films I've ever seen in my life is Old Boy, and at number 1 I think it's still Requiem for a Dream, but Old Boy might even top that. But yeah, it's quite tied. Requiem for a Dream was a massive inspiration for Emot.
Okay.
Not that Emot is as disturbing as Requiem for a Dream, but the angle of understanding the innocence of addiction sometimes, and anyone can be an addict. And so Requiem for a Dream's got a few different plot lines, but the plot line I'm going to talk about right now is the grummer. A grummer becomes an addict, and you're used to seeing addiction in films kind of being like, oh, I was a little chav and I had to, we started smoking, doing this, and it's quite the, that's the typical story. But seeing a grummer get addicted, suddenly it's so much more vulnerable, and it's so much, scarier, because you're seeing this lady who you wouldn't picture being an addict, showing how vulnerable she could be, and she becomes an addict in a very innocent way, and it's the ending. It changes you as a person. That movie changed my perspective. I'm exaggerating, but I'd rather you guys. I always say I'd rather go in overprepared, Requiem for a Dream, than underprepared. But for me, that movie, it changed me. It was one of those movies that I would say definitely left such an impression on me. it changed the way I thought.
Okay, yeah. On that, so I watched the show Mad Men, and
Yes.
that changed the way I sort of interact with the world around me. Are there any other like pieces of media you've watched or read?
Breaking Bad.
Okay, what did that change about the way you act?
God, some honestly, I wouldn't even say in a good way. Some of it was I'd say negative on me, and some of it was positive. So it depended what creatively, it inspired me. It made me realise, Breaking Bad isn't got the biggest budget. They're filming, just on streets and, houses most of the time. It's not a massive budget at all. Most of the budget goes to Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul, So the actual setting of it is really just the story relies heavily on the writing, the whole way through. And that changed the way I thought about, how much range I could do with a minuscule budget. I just need a great performance and a stellar script to back it, and that's where the thought and the time should go to, not just the production value. In terms of badly, I'd say, you start liking, the worse what it gets, the better the movie, the better the series becomes. The same with the worse of kind of watching a decline of Walter, you start getting that thrill of it, and so. Watching at quite a young age, sometimes I feel like, I want to be like Jesse. Jesse Pinkman's really cool. Jesse Pinkman's not a role model, but he has good values. So it's the hit and miss. But yeah, that would say there's a bit of a media that.
Have you broken bad?
Have I broken? Yes. I've seen you break bad.
Well,
you shaved your head.
It was to be Walter White as a
You
Halloween
gave the best Halloween costume ever. I'm in the edit. We're gonna put up a picture now of Glyn dressed up in his white. He just sent me a picture one day. He had the goatee. I think he had the glasses, the shades, and he had the hat as well, the Heisenberg hat. It looked awesome. It was actually the coolest you've ever looked.
Thank you.
Although the Fearing Loathing is it Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? Las Vegas, which I've only seen half of. I need to finish. I love the shirt.
Yeah, talking on that, how do you identify other film buffs? Do you have you kind of
sense a radar? Yeah. I just kind of smell them because usually they haven't showered because they've been watching movies all day. Or I just go to a film school and go, I guess you like movies. Yeah, that's why I'm here. Yeah, that makes sense. But no, realistically, I just kind of will find any loose connection and conversation to bring up something film related. They could be like, I had this really good pizza the other day, pepperoni. I was like, did you know in Breaking Bad, he threw the pizza on the roof and they had no slices because they needed to have him kind of frisbee it onto the roof. So they made a whole pizza come, and I'll go off from there. But yeah, it's I listening to conversations. I just ask people, what did you watch? And if they go, oh, it's something on Netflix, I wasn't paying attention. They're not a film guy. They're gonna say whatever. But if I get someone get really excited, almost like they've been wanting to talk about it, but no one's heard of the film. So from someone who's watched a lot of films, I love the joy when someone goes, I don't know, have you seen a Straight Outta Compton? Oh yeah, I've seen that movie, and then we just start talking, So yeah, it's just trying to find ways to sip it to conversation.
Okay, nice. So on that, the film industry seems to be one of those things where it's not what you know, it's almost who you know sometimes. What are your sort of tips for networking with other film people? Do you just talk about films all the time? How do you bring it to where you get a working relationship with someone?
Depends what setting you're in. So uni has been obviously a massive output for me because it's guaranteed networking. You're going there. This is your chance. You've got 3 or 4 years with these people. You're going to be working on so many different projects with them throughout the time. Show them why they should remember you after, and that's the easiest way to say it. But people who haven't gone to uni and just want to get their foot in the door and say they don't know anyone, I obviously started out knowing no one. I've not come from any film related family or anything like that. I know some people, their dad worked on this project, or they're in lighting, or they're a production assistant on this film, and they kind of got their foot in the door that way, and their children then go, oh brilliant, I want to do that too, and they kind of have all these connections. For me, literally my mum, dad, no one is in the film industry, and so it means it basically takes you upon yourself to go, right, well, you've now got to build up your own body of work, you've now got to build up your own portfolio, and also identify what do you want to do, because you're not going to know exactly what you want to do from the get-go. When I first wanted to be in film, I wanted to be an actor. I don't want to be an actor anymore, but I think it was fun.
Yeah.
And I got to act and talk to people, make friends. And then I realised I went way more into the writing, directing, and eventually the editing side as well. And I made projects to practice those. So I would write the projects like The Postman, but before that it was YouTube videos, like little shorts, and just being like, right, I want to practice today learning how to have a gun muzzle flash on my films. I want to learn how to do that. And, I'm talking like I'm 13 here, like 12, 13. And I'll have people from school, like, Cade. And I'll be like, right, do you want to come to my house, Cade, and like film a movie? He's like, but Josh, I'm not an actor. I was like, well, you are today. Let's do it. And then we'll just film like a 2-minute short in an afternoon, edit it by the end of the day, on YouTube by the next day, with a really crappy thumbnail. But like, it was practice, and it made me go, I know how to do that now. Even how stupid as the projects could be, that's, it's practice, and you're at least doing something rather than just sitting there going, I like that movie. I wish I could make a movie like that one day. Yeah. You build up your own portfolio, and eventually, what ended up with me is because I practiced it so much, I then learned how to have a decent knowledge of editing from without having to be taught it at all, and writing and directing. So it helped me massively when it came to me actually starting to connect with people, because they'd seen like, oh yeah, Josh, I know Josh, he's always doing this YouTube videos. Do you want to join me on this? Actually, we're doing a short film here. And like, oh, brilliant. Meet other departments. Don't stick to your own department. Whenever there is any downtime or a moment, talk to everyone. Just listen to what they've done, where they're at, and just get to know them on just a friend level as a person, and because they're interesting characters. Most of the time, you find so many interesting characters in film sets because they're all creatives like you. They want to make stuff. That's so exciting because when you want to make something and you're on your own, you'll make a project, but you add more people to that. You've got a bigger project, and you end up finding all these people, and then eventually you go, oh, actually, I think I've got enough people now to make a film, and you bring them all together, and it's like an Avengers movie. Okay, like you go, oh, brilliant, you've not met so and so, and they all connect, and then that network spreads, and they know people, and then they go, oh, you know what, these people were good for that, but let's recommend Josh for this, and then it builds and builds and builds. You've got this massive web, and then you've just got everyone just helping each other, and excited at the start especially. Everyone's doing it for free. No one really cares about getting paid at the start. Well, most people don't care about getting paid right from the get-go, especially when they're like 15, I'm talking here. They're all just going, I need to make something. I want to make this because I want to do it. Because if you don't want to do it, well, there's so many other jobs where you can easily, if you want money, there's easier ways to get paid.
Yeah.
You're here because this is a fun way to get paid. And getting paid is... Oh, I couldn't believe it when I was younger. I was like, wait, people get paid to make... I thought they were just going, I had some downtime, I'm just going to make Lord of the Rings. I had no idea when I was a kid. I was like, people actually, this is a job. That's the best job in the world. There's no debate. And so that's the excitement you get from, especially when you're at student films. Everyone's helping each other, and you get, the odd project comes along where everyone just sits there and goes, I'm really proud of this. It may not be the best budget, it may not be the best performance I've ever seen, but you know what, we made this, and the next one's going to be better. And so you keep doing that, and eventually, obviously, I got onto Sabari, where I get to do now feature films and short films again, and this is just the start, and I hope that then builds to something even bigger. But I'm proud of, I'm really proud of that company where it's at right now. And I think I told younger 12-year-old Josh when he was making his YouTube videos with Cade, he'd be really proud. Yeah. And that's what I'm excited for, and I'm excited to think one day I'm going to be looking back on this and go, I'm going to be really proud of future Josh and what he's done there and how he's networked and what he's built and the projects I've done.
Okay, so talking on that point, what are some red flags when it comes to networking?
Well, I think my biggest red flag, and again I say this for anyone, networking, again, it's a relationship. Like any relationship, it's individual for that person. So what I would consider a red flag may not be a red flag for someone else. So this is just for me. So I would never take this as, if you see this in anyone, don't work with them ever. They're horrible. Go away. No. It's for me, what I'm always looking to avoid is someone who makes the space as uncreative as possible. I don't want to be in a room where I feel like I can't, bounce off ideas off someone. I don't want to feel like I'm in a room with someone who's going to be very single-minded, because if you have direction, sure, have an end goal, but don't have that end goal at the expense of everyone you've built to make this one. Everyone should be going towards the same goal, and it's to make a great picture. Other than how that picture looks, you know, the director has to shape it into the way, but everyone should be allowed to put their own piece on it, you know. Whereas what I always say is I'd rather someone give me, say, 10 really wank ideas, but there's one good one, you know. And because if there's one good, there's so many people who would say nothing, and that means we're just left with nothing. So if we've got 10 bad ideas, I think I was talking about it earlier, you know, maybe bad to me, I'll still say it, but the person I'm talking to, that might trigger something in their head to go, that actually reminds me of something I did here. Yeah, no, if we detach this idea with that idea, suddenly we've got a great thing, and we just build off it.
So when I was at your house before the interview.
Were you? I didn't see you there. Like, that's weird, dude.
Cut that bit out.
No witnesses.
So, I was at your house before the interview, and you have a director's chair in your room.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, if I was a film director, maybe if I was watching a film I wanted to analyse, I would sit in my director's chair to watch the film, and it made me sort of get onto this thread of like visualization and trying to like manifest stuff.
Yeah.
Do you do any like visualization or anything like that?
Any practices to
Yeah.
visualize? God. Well, yeah. I would say I do. Funny that you say that, is I actually do go in my director's chair sometimes, and I sit. I've done it a few times because I've just moved back home with Mum just after uni, and I've set up my whole new room. I got my Blu-rays in there. I got my director's chair, and I brought my director's chair out. And I sat down, and I go, and I watch a movie or started to jog my memory, and it's fun. It's like a creative chair. It gives me like a great kind of perspective, and kind of I feel really important on the director's chair. It's like a high chair. It's quite nice in a cool way, not like a kid's high chair, but it's what I do to practice, which I've said earlier, is like the creative writing stuff, just literally just looking up any inspiration kind of images, or like even if it's a scene from a movie, and then like, you know, a good practice is to try and rewrite that scene. So you take a screenshot from a movie and go, "Hang on, don't look at the script. Try and write that scene like yourself. Like try and write it with all. How would you write that scene? How would you describe that scene? Think about what's in the scene. How would you write that? And see how then different that then turns out to the actual script writing. I did that once, and that was really fun. But yeah, there's loads of different like writing practices. And that's the main thing to do, because writing is kind of in my spare time. You know, I'm not going to be able to direct constantly in my, like, you know, on my own. But like writing, you know, it's just you can create this whole other world, and every time you do any scripts, it's a fresh slate, it's a fresh start, and you get to just have that freedom, and that excites me. And so trying to give myself and put myself in a setting or the headspace to give myself as much freedom as possible, and as excited as possible about something, and as inspired, I'd always try and practice that.
Okay, so I was reading this book called On Advertising, and it's by David Ogilvy.
Yeah.
And he has this concept called stuffing your unconscious, which is where you consume sort of historical things or read books or get media from like a genre or a specific time that's like the thing that you kind of want to make a film or an advertisement of.
Yeah.
This is specifically for advertising, but do you do that for films and stuff? So when you're like, let's say you're doing EMOT, right? Your latest film.
Shameless.
Shameless. What did you what was the other things that you looked at to build your build your base?
Build your vision. As in what are you basically, what did I take aspiration from? What did I draw from?
Yeah, but not specifically inspiration, just all the things, because it all sort of comes together.
To get myself into the right headspace too, right?
Yeah.
So EMOT was based off of an episode of Doctor Who. If anyone who knows me, I won't shut up about Doctor Who. I'm a massive Whovian, a massive geek for that stuff. I love Doctor Who. Classic Who, New Who, all of it. And there's this episode in David Tennant's run, season 3, episode 3, called Gridlock. And it's this great masterpiece of an episode where, again, they do the premise of EMOT, which is, they sell emotions. And you can feel like, Josh, you just stole it from Doctor Who. What the hell, man? You're just exposing yourself. Well, the episode doesn't focus on that. It goes on to this really good story of a traffic jam. It sounds, I know it doesn't sound as cool as it is, but it's a really great episode. Give it a watch. But Russell T Davies wrote this concept in, and then very quickly went on to something else. And I was like, but hang on, what are you doing? That's a whole plot. That's a whole series. That's a whole show. And so I watched that scene over again, seeing how, you know, how Russell wrote it, how he directed it, how you know, how that was made, and kind of like how the characters acted towards this kind of concept. And that was one way to get myself in the mindset. I've already spoken about Requiem for a Dream. So again, that's again talking about stuffing your conscious, just kind of living that kind of world, going, right, I'm going to be writing about, you know, a sci-fi. I should surely you know, fill my conscious with loads of sci-fi stuff. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think what I just mentioned there, Requiem for a Dream, that's not sci-fi. That's about addiction, which is at the core of what I'm trying to make with EMOT, is a case study on addiction. And how would I direct addiction? How drawing from my own experiences on that subject, how do I want to showcase that feeling? And so watching, you know, Blade Runner isn't necessarily going to help me with that. And the biggest trap that is watching Blade Runner and then accidentally just writing a Blade Runner knockoff. There was a few recommendations. People go, I'd pitch the idea, and they go, oh, it's like blah blah blah, and I'll be like, well, you should watch blah blah blah, and I was like, I don't want to watch blah blah blah. You know, it's gonna, you know, I'm gonna start copying it, or I'm gonna start doubting my own work, or I'm gonna start, you know, self-consciously basically just going, this is just a scene from Blade Runner. I've never watched Cyberpunk or played Cyberpunk, and that was a big one. People kept throwing around going, oh, you're making like Cyberpunk. I was like, well, I've never seen Cyberpunk, and I don't want to watch Cyberpunk, because the moment I see anything Cyberpunk related, I'm gonna, you know, self-consciously, or like, you know, just write that, or unconsciously just like accidentally write it, and then it's suddenly I'm copying it, and it becomes unoriginal. So I've purposely still to this day not seen Cyberpunk. So the whole process during EMOT, I wouldn't just copy it. So going on to that kind of subject of filling your consciousness with it, it's careful what you need to fill your consciousness with when trying to write your own original idea. So again, I was trying to draw from addiction and looking at more the themes than say all the time the setting. Obviously there's stuff I mentioned like Star Wars with the cleaner setting for the EMOT Center and that kind of stuff. So drawing concepts and ideas from that's fine, but I wasn't watching Star Wars just because it was a sci-fi. And I was looking more for films to fill my head with about the themes I was trying to hit.
What makes you a good director? What is, like, if we were in a war zone, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, everyone's gonna die if Josh doesn't tell us the number one thing that makes him the best. Like, what is the one thing that you do the best?
I don't know how to answer that without being really. Listen, guys, I just know what I'm doing. It's what I'll answer it this way. What I think makes a good director, or what I aspire to be as a director, and what I think a good director is. Whether or not I've achieved that, you know, I'll let other people say. But what I think makes a good director is having that authority of leadership, having that authority of being able to envision the whole final product, but also leaving enough room for everyone else to kind of get their own ideas on and build towards that same goal. And the director has to be the last say to go, no, hang on, this isn't going to work with this, and they need to picture the whole thing. I think the biggest thing for being a director is just being easy to work with and just a likable person in general. Just trying to, be friendly enough and as creative enough to open up that space for everyone to feel so comfortable on that set, so everyone can do their best work. No one wants in the morning to really quickly get, you know, screamed at for doing something wrong. They want to be there and they can focus on their best work. Obviously, you've got to have that strictness in that schedule, but it's being able to balance that by making everyone go, we get to do this. We're excited to do this still, and that's the main thing. Is people, you know, creating that environment that makes your whole ambition worth it. Because the ambition is to do something fun, and yeah, the getting paid is. I said earlier, I was baffled that this could be a job. So creating a space where people remind themselves, going, oh yeah, that's why I'm doing this, that's what I'm aspiring to, that's why I want to be on this set, and that's why I want to do these long 20-hour days or whatever it is, you know. And that's why people work the overtime, not because they're working, because they get to stay and they're so excited to continue. So a great director, to circle back around to that, is someone who really is creating that space and encouraging all the departments to do their best work.
Okay, so would you consider yourself more than like a finger that points? You're a hand that guides as a director.
Yes, you obviously have a map, and obviously have like an end goal, and obviously have like you almost like with EMOT, I bullet pointed it out, and then there was some scenes where I knew I don't know how to write that right now. I'll skip over that and I'll write this next scene, And then I'll admit when I was like, look, I need help. What do you think of this? I think this, I'm going too far. I'm leaning too heavily into the addiction. I think it's too, I'm saying too much rather than showing it. What's a great way to, change that? What's a great way to, display that in a much better way than I'm imagining right now? And it's having known what needs to be in the movie, knowing that this is a beat that we need to hit, and being open to, again, other people's ideas to make that and express that in an even better way than maybe you could have even understood yourself.
So that's awesome. Yeah. So, as a Whovian, who's your favourite Doctor?
That's a hard question, man. I've got like 7. I've got Sam's just rolling his eyes. God, Doctor Who again. No, wait. Okay, I'll answer my top 2.
Top 2, okay.
Because they switch all the time, and they won't be the top 2 that everyone's going. Because in their head they're going David Tennant and Matt Smith. My top 2 is Paul McGann, the 8th Doctor, which most people will be like, who the hell is Paul McGann? Well, Paul McGann only did 1 episode of Doctor Who in the 90s, and it was an American-made movie, straight to TV, and was meant to be like a pilot jumping off point for a TV series, but nobody liked it or watched it, so the series never got made, which honestly, to be honest, seeing what they were going to do, maybe it was for the best. But what's great is Doctor Who's so big, it's got so many different avenues, whether it be comic books, games, the actual show itself. It's also got audio dramas, which I love to listen to when I'm driving or just in my spare time. And Paul McGann, even though he only did 1 episode, got a whole new generation, a whole new era through literally audiobooks called Big Finish. So there's seasons and seasons of Paul McGann acting his absolute heart out as the 8th Doctor. And it's astonishing. It's some of the best Doctor Who I've ever seen. I know I haven't physically seen it, but it's so vivid and it really listen to stuff. Again, that's another thing to really jog your conscience, and really jog your imagination, is don't always just watch movies for making a movie or to be inspired to make a movie. Listen, read, consume as many different media as possible, even if it's video games or whatever. You draw from everything in your life, and audiobooks is a great way to do that. And so Paul McGann is my favourite Doctor. I also think he's got the best costume in the episode he does appear in, and he also did a little mini episode called Night of the Doctor, which is 7 minutes long. And even if you've never seen Doctor Who and you're probably going to be so confused, just go on YouTube, type in Night of the Doctor, and just watch that little short. It is peak Doctor Who. It's incredible. But yeah, no, Paul McGann, and then for more everyone else who would know him, but again, probably my favourite Doctor, especially New Who, is Peter Capaldi. If I was going to write my own Doctor, I think Peter Capaldi is the closest to that you would get. And it's weird because Peter Capaldi, he changes kind of his interpretation of the Doctor for each of his seasons. Like his first season, he's very dark, he's very insecure, he doesn't know who he is. He's really awkward actually for most of his first season, which I think why a lot of people, viewership wise, dropped off, because they didn't feel, they wanted a Doctor to encourage them on who they was, but they got the complete opposite. They got a Doctor who was a lot more dark, a lot colder. He's lived for longer than he should have. He's had too many regenerations, and he's so much darker and grittier. And honestly, it was a really good take. And then series 9, he comes out on a tank and an electric guitar. Complete change. But he learned through that season that he is a good man at heart. And yeah, he'll be cold sometimes, but at heart he always wants his best, and he's just an idiot going around helping out because it's the kind thing to do. And then you get this really, for the last 2 of his seasons, you get this lovely fun uncle who's like, he moved to Vegas and never left. It's amazing. And series 10 is just this conclusion of his perfect, a Doctor character arc throughout that whole run. And at the end, it was just, he's got this great 2-parter called The Doctor Falls in World Enough of Time, and it's beautiful. It's absolute art. It's directed by Rachel Talalay, and she's an amazing director. And it's written by Stephen Moffat, who's great. He was a great showrunner. So yeah.
Okay, so for the Whovians, I love that term that you mentioned.
Whovians,
yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I always think everyone's like, yeah, of course I've heard of Whovians, but someone once told me they just think I'm talking about Whoville from The Grinch, like the Who's.
So for the Whovians, what was the audiobook series?
It's a Big Finish audiobook, so there's so many to choose from. For anyone who's like, oh, that sounds really cool, I might be into it, I'd recommend Out of Time, which is 10th Doctor with David Tennant. David Tennant does these as well. Sorry, for the mainstream, because that's what most people watching Doctor Who, they'll probably think of David Tennant or Tom Baker. David Tennant does multi-doctor story with Tom Baker just before his regeneration, and it's brilliant. And it's a great audiobook if you want to just jump on. If you want to go to some Paul McGann stuff, there's this Christmas special audiobook called The Chimes of Midnight. I let my brother listen to it, and he said it was like the best Doctor Who story he's ever heard.
Okay.
So give it a watch.
Cool. So, we're getting to wrapping up now. Can you just tell us the top 7 films? Because we got to like number
Oh my
3
god,
or 4.
we totally forgot to keep going with the 7. I was even so smart. Like, I'm gonna remember all of these films, guys. Don't worry about it. Like, I don't even look at the list. On like number 2, I was like. So my top 7. We've got Goodfellas, of course, Rear Window, Old Boy, Requiem for a Dream, and we didn't get to the bottom 3. Fellowship of the Ring. So again, going back to what you were saying earlier about how do you spy other, film buffs, thank you, or cinephiles.
Cinephiles.
And we have a group chat called Film Buffs, and we've also got a group chat called the Cinephiles. So like your T-shirt, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Yeah. A big one for me is I always have the ring from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, nice.
So everyone, it's weird because I just kind of thought everyone was just going, oh, it's just a random ring. But the amount of people that have come up to me and gone, excuse me, is that the one ring of power? And then I have to quote the whole speech, I have to talk about that, which I'm more than happy to do because otherwise I wouldn't wear it. But to seem like, buying stuff, that you love. When I've got a massive Blu-ray, I know I'm sparring a bit here, but I've got a massive Blu-ray collection at home. I'm a massive fan of physical media. And the reason I buy so much physical media rather than stream it is because I like the idea of, I like picking it up. I like holding it. It's just something I love and I want to showcase that. So yeah, there's loads of different ways. If it's a tattoo or like a little bit of a ring or something like that. But yeah, anyways, Fellowship of the Ring, Lord of the Rings, I think is the best trilogy ever made. I'm currently reading Fellowship of the Ring for the 2nd time, and it's a masterpiece. It's an absolute masterpiece. I love it. I think I've watched it twice in the last month. So yeah, Fellowship of the Ring, Shawshank Redemption. That movie is just, it's a hard watch. It gets you in the feels. It's amazing. It's a beautiful story, and it's just like I always like to see it as like there's almost little like short films with some characters. I'm messing up now. Who's the guy who? Spoilers. He's the guy who hung himself.
The librarian. I don't know.
The librarian guy, Alan or Al. I don't know.
We've even forgotten.
It's beautiful. And then my last on my list is Truman Show with Jim Carrey. So I think that is a great concept because you always it's a idea. I feel like, I don't know if everyone, but it's an idea that I think everyone has always had. Like going, what if people was watching me right now? Even when I think I'm alone, even when I'm thinking I'm just brushing my teeth, alone with my thoughts. What if people are just kind of watching, like, what's he going to do? Is he going to spit that toothpaste out in the sink now? Or, like, in a minute's time? What's he doing? Are people watching me? Am I on a show? Or is my, a lot of the time, I feel like you sometimes watch your life in, like, mini movies. And you're going, oh, this is the arc of this relationship I had in my life. Or this is the arc of, this is my uni kind of, whatever. But so Truman Show kind of embodies that of going, what if someone's life was a reality show? That's such a cool concept. And then the fact that Truman Show takes that a step further and has it so this little baby literally has never known the outside world and only knowing this world fabricated from him. And then when he's like in his near 30s or something, I don't know, like 25, he then meets the director who is literally his god. He has fabricated his whole life. Every lesson he's learned, everything he knows has all been fabricated. He's literally meeting his god. This director is such a brilliant concept. So yeah, Truman Show is also definitely on that list.
Yeah, I like the villain in the Truman Show is the director. He's so like
he's
like a really unconventional like bad guy.
Yeah, because some people don't see him as the villain. Some people see him as like, again, he's not the villain, but some people see him as the guy who is just, he loves Truman more than anyone. But obviously that's the whole debate throughout the show. Is like, is this right? Is it better to be in this world and not be in the harsh reality? In this dome he's in, he's got a life, he's got a wife, he's got a family, he's got a home, he's got a job. He never has to worry about anything ever because it's okay. There's someone out there guiding you through it. There's someone out there who will always be protected. Whereas real life isn't like that, and the director knows that. And I think the director's kind of wishing he was almost Truman at times. Like he wishes he could be in that dome, be in that bubble, and then so some people relate to that. I do think he's the villain, but I like thinking of it from that concept is he's doing it out of love almost, and I feel like the longer it goes on, the more he's like, I'm scared to let my child go.
So, but Truman's dream is to go to Fiji, and is it right for a parent to like stifle their child's dream?
Absolutely not.
Like that?
Do not give them a tragic backstory where their dad dies in a fishing accident. But in the terms of protecting it and just kind of having that, I think a lot of parents just trying to attach themselves and just, I don't want to let my baby go. I don't want them to be hurt by the the reality of life. And I think that's something to be people can relate to despite him being a villain.
Yeah. Truman Show, an unconventional coming-of-age story.
Yeah, exactly. That's quite a good slogan.
Yeah. I think that's just about time, but before we go, where are they showing Emot? Just a couple examples.
So, obviously, Emot's part of Sabali, so it will be probably obviously hitting our YouTube channel within the next however long. I won't give it. We're aiming for a December release date, but like I've said, depending on film festivals, it may prolong it, because a lot of film festivals, they have the whole thing about premiere status and what is your film doing for their festival. It's like, oh my god, you get to go to Dreamers of Dream Film Festival, which is one of the festivals we've submitted to, and you get to see Emot as if it's never been shown before. If you go to our festival, you get to see it for the first time. So that's a massive win for that festival, for example. But other film festivals, I don't think Dreamers of Dream do care about the premiere status, but other film festivals don't care at all. They just go, it doesn't matter if it's already been released online. It doesn't matter if it's already got a cult following. As long as it's been made within this year, we'll showcase it at our festival. So it really depends. The more prestigious ones definitely care about premiere status, which is why we've penciled in December. We've done a couple of waves. We're planning to do a couple of waves of festivals, depending on each one, on how each one goes. So the first wave we've done is all London-based festivals, and a lot more, not as prestigious as, say, the next wave of which you want to go to, say like in Boston or DC, Seattle, that would be, depending on how well we do there, we'll increase it and we'll see what we do. But it's a win-win. If we're not doing too great on the film festivals, it means you get to see it a bit earlier and everyone's happy. But if we do better on film festivals, we're delaying it for a good reason. The film is done, there's a finished cut, it's out there. Can't wait for everyone to see it, because it's a film that, more than anything I've ever done, I've never had such a strong backing and encouragement behind it. And to everyone who's helped in any way with that project, anyone, it's from the bottom of my heart, thank you, because you're, making my, dream of just trying to write and direct and giving me that opportunity. So thank you so much to everyone for helping me do that. Even the fans watching and the crowdfunding campaign, everything. So I'm really excited to give back and just show, look, we did this. We did this, and I can't wait for everyone to see it.
So, before we finish completely, imagine that you're 12. You're 12 again. 12-year-old Josh. He's becoming a film director for the first time. Like, you're really getting into it. What is one sort of quote that you could tell him that he'd have on his wall and he'd read every day that you would tell 12-year-old Josh now as you?
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a kid. A quote? I don't think I'd show my quote. I think I
just one piece of advice.
I would just encourage him. I think what I would love to do is, if I was gonna pass off me anything, I think my dream is always just be like, you made it. You made something, and physically, and I'd be like, look, I'll just show him the poster of the postman or the poster of Emot, and I think that would be enough, and that would be a drive.
So that'd be the one thing on his wall. Instead of a quote, it'd be a whole.
Oh
poster.
Yeah, it'd be a whole poster with Alfie's face on it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Yeah. Cheers.
And a shout out to Sam. Thank you very much for filming.